Hello grade 8s, this is our second video on Pythagoras. I recommend you watch Pythagoras 1 before you watch Pythagoras 2. So now we're going to use what we discovered in Pythagoras 1 to, kind of solve problems involving right angle triangles. And this discovery by Pythagoras is called the Pythagorean theorem. So this is going to be useful in solving problems. So right now, we can see that what I asked students to do was draw the right triangle with three squares on either side. This is the hypotenuse square, and these two are called the leg squares. Hypotenuse square, of course, is the biggest one. It's the one opposite of the right angle, always the biggest square. So after you draw that, in class we did that, we labeled the hypotenuse C. Always label hypotenuse C. Then you label your legs A and B. It doesn't matter which is which. I'll call that A and I'll call this B. So then we label the other side of the square. So if that's C, well then that one's C. If this was B, then that one was B. And if that's A, then that side is A. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. Now, remember what Pythagoras found from Pythagoras 1 video? We said that the area of this blue square, we can't see the color, so this is the blue square, is equal to the area of the yellow square plus the green square. So these two squares are together added up equal the area of the blue. Now we're going to write this as a math sentence using just the letters A, B, and C. And so this is what we get. So obviously, to find the area of this square, we have to go C times C, length times length, L squared, right? So this one's C times C. This one would be A times A. This one would be B times B. So C times C equals A times A plus B times B. Now, if you look at that very closely, can we simplify this and write this a little neater? Absolutely. C times C, we can write it as C squared. A times A squared, and B times B squared. So this is what we call Pythagorean theorem, the formula for it. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. Now, what would happen if I want to change this formula so that it starts A squared? Think about that. Or if I want it to be starting with B squared. Would this be A squared is equal to C squared plus B squared? Would this be B squared is equal to C squared plus A squared? In fact, no. These ones are, A squared would be you take C squared minus B squared. And this one, we would go C squared minus A squared. So I'm taking this formula and I'm changing it to two others because I might need the other two. And we'll show you in just a sec. So this formula here, what this formula basically does is if you know two sides of any triangle, you can find the third. That's where this formula is useful. So again, what I'm going to give you a little tip, these formulas should be memorized. The C squared is A squared plus B squared, and A squared is C squared minus B squared is C squared minus A squared. This one you're going to use when you are given both legs, but you're missing the hypotenuse. Obviously, when you're missing C, you use the C one. When you're missing a leg, whether it be A or B, that's when you use these ones. So obviously when you're missing an A or a B, that's when you use the leg square formulas. So example 1, let's say I give you a triangle like this, where this is a leg, and I don't know the hypotenuse. First step, I always tell students, label using letters A, B, C. So this is your C, always your hypotenuse is C. This, I'll just call it A, this I'll call it B. Doesn't matter which is which. So I'm going to use my C formula because I don't know C. So step 1, C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. Always write your formula. Step 2, replace, which I call substitution. This step is called substitution. Replace what you know. Since I don't know C, I will just leave it C squared. But I know A is 7, so I substitute 7 squared. Plus B is 12, 12 squared. Now I'm going to get this answer by typing this in my calculator. What is 7 squared plus 12 squared equal to? Well, it works out to 193. Now, that's c squared. My last step is to figure out what is c. So c is equal to the square root of 193, not 193. And that answer works out to be 13.89. And that makes sense because if that's the hypotenuse, this is centimeters, it should be the longest side. These are the legs, they're shorter. All right, let's try another one. So this one here, once again, that's your C, that's your A, that's your B. So C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Substitution, C squared is 28 squared plus 35 squared. Figure that out. It works out to be 2009. My last step, what is C? Well, I square root 2009, and that works out to be 44.82. And that is meters. Once again, that is your longest side, so that makes sense. Okay, going quickly. Next one. Well, this is a triangle. I've got two sides missing a third. That's my C. Going to call that A, going to call that B, my two legs. Since I don't know A, I'm going to use my A formula. A formula is A squared is equal to C squared minus B squared. So, A squared is equal to 80 squared minus 64 squared. That works out to be 2304. To get A, I square root 2304, and that works out to be 48.99 feet. And if I would have called this B, or called that A, I would have used my B formula. Instead, just kept doing everything the same. This is a leg, it should be shorter, right? So 48.99 feet makes perfect sense. It shouldn't be longer than the 80. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is just a little practice here. You can pause the video. You can try to find the lengths of all of these. And once you've done that, you can check out, here are your answers. Okay, so a little bit of practice. There's your answers to that one. So give it a shot and see how you do. I hope this helps. Have a good day.